Okay, so welcome to the Wednesday Team Prosperity weekly meeting. Today, what we're going to go through is just some information that's come up in the past week, as well as some other things that will hopefully help you build your business immediately coming out of this, whether you watch this live or recorded. So we are almost at the end of April. So we're heading into that May, June, July period of time where in normal years, people are out and about. It's a tough time of the year. I don't know what this year is going to look like, but I do know that in past years, if you work through the summer and you're diligent, not only do you have some immediate outcomes coming from that work, but you also set yourself up. When we get back into, the early part of fall, you're not starting, you're continuing, which is a big advantage over your competition. Last week, you guys, we, as normal, we had our Wednesday team meeting. And last week, we really concentrated on, connecting the dots in conversation, giving yourself the documentary test. In other words, if people were following you around, filming you, what would that look like day to day? The daily habits that you're forming, good or bad, they become trends. They're going to make or break you personally, professionally, whatever you're trying to do. Teaching others that money is just a tool, disrupting the typical life cycle thought process, and self-reflecting on accomplishment, or really just lack of, learning how to reflect, review, and take away from both the successes and the failures that we do have. You guys, right now, we are heavily investing in a lot of different ideas. Some of those ideas work, some of those ideas don't work. Obviously, we kill the stuff that doesn't work, and we continue to pour time, energy, resources behind the things that do work. We got a lot of things going on right now. Our organization, our team is about to explode. So what we need to do is just position ourselves accordingly to go ahead and accept that growth in an orderly way. We want our clients and our partners coming in to have an experience that is far superior to what other organization and teams provide. One of the things that we have to do starting a business, and we talked about this before, is for you guys and your partners, and even the clients starting out, small victories. So, make sure we celebrate the small victories. Everything's not going to be a big explosion, coming in. So the small victories that we do have, we need to celebrate those. Just get excited about what's going on. And really, when we're talking about ourselves, we're talking about potential partners, potential clients. One thing remains true, that changing your life is always possible. However, that new life is going to cost you your old ones. When you're talking about clients, you're talking about partners, you're talking to yourself, understand that from this point forward, good, bad, or ugly, changes is always going to be constant. Your life, changing your life for the better, is always right there in front of you. And that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we get used to talking to potential clients and partners about, because the ability to look down in the future and see positive, good things happening, that's going to create an emotional attachment to the endpoint and provide the necessary motivation to take those action steps. We need to find the right people. And with what we've got going on right now, you guys can come from a position of power because of what we have to offer. You need to be out there networking. You need to be talking about your business, what you do, how you do it. But most importantly, like we always talk about, why is it that you're doing what you're doing? Selecting the right types of partners and clients is absolutely crucial. Can't be everything to everyone. And if you try, you're going to fail miserably. So you need to develop personas, people that you want to talk to, people that you can talk to in a way that's a great conversation that moves them forward. Whether you're talking about potential business partners, potential clients, set some boundaries, build a persona, and go after those types of people. When you're talking to potential partners, and this is very important, guys, you've got to kind of lay some groundwork and some rules for people coming in, because we don't have to go to an office. We don't have to drive around. We don't have dry cleaning like, that we would in a typical traditional model. So that office relocation, taking things 100% virtual, there needs to be a reinvestment from what would be brick and mortar traditional model into some things that will greatly help your business. Digital marketing strategies, leads, automation, to sit around and have absolutely no investment in your business over long periods of time, and then wonder why things aren't happening fast or happening at all. You need to come back to your core and understand that business requires investment. So if we have an office relocation, we're saving money, Invest that into some things that provide fuel and velocity to your business growth. It's very important also that when you're talking to people about part-time opportunities, that you don't gloss over or candy coat the fact of what's going to be happening here. Somebody's working a full-time job and they're going to work this part-time hours. There's going to be a period of time where, it's going to be tough for them, because after you work a long day, you want to come home, probably want to hang out, watch TV, hang out with the family, whatever, relax. You're going to have to break that mentality and break that cycle, put some part-time hours into this, build that bridge over to full time. If somebody's unwilling to do that, or they're not motivated enough to do that, it's okay. It's not something we need to convince, rebuttal, explain, something we need to filter out. So we do champion the cause of part-timers, but part-timers means there's going to be a sacrifice for a period of time. Remember, coming in full-time, part-time, it doesn't matter. It's going to take 90 to 120 days of some activity to really build something worthwhile, where you have a pipeline of different types of people in different cycles of communication producing some outcomes. We don't go from 0 to 100 overnight. It's going to take some continuous activity, and just realize in some of those front weeks, we're probably working for little to no income and revenue results. That's all right. Building the pipeline, it's going to return back to you. It's an activity, it is an investment on the front end. Another thing that we need to make sure that we understand is that we need to take action now, and we're looking for people to take action now. That whole process in our mind of planning and preparing, hey, I'm planning 2 weeks from now to do something, I'm preparing to do something over the summer, those are all just lies to ourselves. And the inability to perform is just procrastination. So we can plan and prepare our whole life and actually get absolutely nothing done. What we're looking for is planning, preparing, and performing, the 3 P's that come together that are going to get you what you're looking for. So don't plan and prepare, just take action. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be everything. That's another veiled way that we procrastinate. Just hop in, jump in the deep end, start having activity, and learn that way. Another thing that we're looking for in potential partners is either an entrepreneurial mindset or somebody who's already working in an entrepreneurial environment. Because when we look at holidays and weekends, a lot of entrepreneurs are looking for ways to get ahead of the competition, whether that's reading, whether that's online education, whatever it might be, working on marketing. Those are hours where if somebody else isn't working, I'm getting ahead of them. So you want to think of this as competition, because if you're unwilling to do something, somebody else down the line is willing to do something, and they're going to capture that market share, revenue, and income because of your lack of being able to really commit to this. We need vision boards. You need to visualize your future. Your partners need to visualize their future, and especially your clients need to visualize their future, because without being able to see themselves down the road at some type of an accomplishment, whether that's paying off debt, whether that's establishing retirement accounts, whether that's building a business that spins off cash flow, if we're not able to visualize it, then it's never going to happen. I mean, the ability to see what you're going to manufacture and then put the effort in to manufacture it is really on just a surface level pretty easy to understand. But when you dig down in, you've got to know what you want. You got to know how to get there. Because if you don't, in the next 60 months or 5 years, you're probably going to be not too much in a different place than you are right now. With a plan of action, knowing what you want, and then dividing that up into a roadmap to get there, that plan of action is going to be everything to you. You can't drift your way to success, guys. Another way that you want to look at this opportunity, this business, when you are talking to potential clients, partners, even yourself, is that financial wellness is a huge opportunity going forward. This is a mega, large industry measured in trillions, and it's only getting bigger, and it's only getting more important. Because if you look at wellness, spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical, social, environmental, and you add financial to that, well, guess what? If you're not financially well and you're financially sick, it's going to bleed over into other categories of that wellness circle, and it's going to affect your life in a major way. So what we're doing is needed, it's important, and it's a big opportunity. How's that working out for you? A lot of times, guys, if you're looking at your own business or you're talking to potential partners or clients and they're struggling in certain areas, or they've tried to do it a certain way for a period of time, really, how is that working out for you? When we're talking to people and things aren't working out, we want to know, why do you think that's happening? And then what have you done to actually solve or tackle the problem? So a lot of what we do, guys, is just asking questions, getting the responses back so that we can direct the conversation and continue it to a point that's going to work for both sides. Communication plan. So an end-to-end plan for delivering all the messages. And once again, we go back to that office relocation. A lot of this stuff should be automated. If you can automate something, you definitely should, because every time you automate something, it's like bringing on an employee. Something you don't have to do that you're probably not going to be able to accomplish 100%. Maybe you forget, maybe you get tied up. That automation is working. It doesn't need a bathroom break. It doesn't need a vacation. It'll just do the work for you. You have enough automation in your business that creates conversations where people have already been introduced to what you do, and they're actually looking to talk to you. So anything that manual grunt work on the front side, if we can automate that, we definitely should. It makes life easier. All you're doing is just creating a pipeline, and you're attracting people with some type of a lead magnet. We'll talk about that. But through the process of what we do, and like I said, hopefully this is an automated process, or at least 80+% of it is, you're creating awareness, you're creating interest, you're creating decisions and action steps. That's all you're doing. You want to look at your marketing as a factory. You want to look at your recruiting as a factory. You're bringing in raw material, and through the process of what you're doing, either on the client side or the partner side, on the back end of our factory, we're creating clients that have a better financial future, partners that have a great business opportunity, leaders, etc. The warm market, we don't live in the warm market. And I think any business that lives totally in the warm market will eventually dry up. I just don't think going forward it's a viable business model. But if you've got something that can dramatically help alter the financial future of people in a big way, then you do want to introduce in the warm market. How do you do that? I think the easiest way is by making sure you understand the mission, explaining to your warm market why it is that you're doing what you're doing, and asking for their help in terms of being able to refer over. Because when you lead with the mission and you can get people behind understanding why you do what you do, it's going to be easier for them to start opening conversation, asking questions, referring, maybe wanting some additional material themselves. So what does this mean for you? In a clear, concise, articulate way, you need to understand and be able to communicate why it is that you're doing this business. From that point forward, our business blows up in a major way because we are working and we are implementing and we are testing and we are trying and we are succeeding at certain parts of the business, getting better and better and better every day. Now, what this means for the rest of the business is that we create lead magnets on the front side in social media, common market, and cold market. It's real easy. We give something away on the front side for some contact information, and we have them go through a funnel of additional information that's automated. And on the back end, they can choose at any time to quit going through that. They can choose to go through the entirety, schedule calendar appointments. This is the type of business model you guys need to adapt to, because pitching, selling, recruiting on the front end is really a dead model. Because when you offer something free of value that somebody wants for their contact information, that creates a lead. And those leads ultimately create outcomes. They could potentially create business partners, create clients, but overall, what you're doing on a daily basis, those contacts, creating those leads, bricks, those bricks are building what you want. So let's talk about your online business, because having an online business is a great idea. I mean, if you look at some of the freedoms that it affords you, if you look at some of the reach that it gives you, some of the distribution opportunities, online businesses are incredible if you're in the right space. You guys are in an incredible space. So let's look at some things that will help you. Number one, this is just reaffirming the fact that if you don't get a hold of your business and implement certain types of marketing, automation, these things that we talk about, you can be very, very, very busy at this business and make absolutely no money. So you need to understand that either you're going to run the day or the day is going to run you. And the more that you can delegate, the more organization you can put in your business, prioritize, more you can be focused on what you need to, the easier it's going to be to get the things that you need done, and then pick out the things that you don't need to do that can be automated, that can be put off somewhere else. I just referenced this, but you're in an online business where the money game is meeting technology. I mean, that's an explosive opportunity. So when you look at this and you go into the marketplace and you're talking about your business, understand that you have smart technology in a very big industry that is in a financial wellness category that people can't escape from. People cannot escape money, whether they like money, don't like money. Their opinion is indifferent to the fact that it's still going to be part of their life. And if that's the case, you need to think expansion, and always think expansion. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not expanding, you're contracting. And just to give you an example of how things can take off, in just a decade's time, these numbers over here are actually iPhone sales. So in 2007, 1 million, a little bit over a decade later, we're at 218 million. So understand that smart technology, if it actually changes the way that we live in a good way, can be an explosive opportunity in terms of building a distribution model and then watching that thing explode. You need to come into with the mentality of there's going to be problems and you've got to think about it and solve those problems. However, whether it's a client problem, whether it's your own problem, whether it's a partner problem, you need to be solutions-based. And when you are solutions-based, you teach other people how to be solutions-based, and that builds strong organizations. If you're going to be dwelling on the problem, people see that and they will learn to dwell on the problem. Be solutions-based. And if you are, your business becomes very easy. It becomes very easy to build branch offices that adapt the same type of mentality. You need to be systematic. If you're doing something that can't be replicated, you're in trouble, because you're going to turn into a one-man or a one-woman show. So you got to be systematic. You got to put things in place that can be followed, replicated, duplicated, because that's going to create distribution. If you don't have something that somebody can follow, guess what? As soon as it gets past you, there's already breaks in that chain. You want to be able to create something that no matter if you're doing it on the front side or 6 generations down, everybody's doing the same thing effectively and they're seeing success. You need to approach the day, every single day, with intention and action. We talked about the vision board. We talked about building the roadmap. Along the way, you got to bring, this every single day: energy, intensity, intention, action to the day, because what you're trying to do, requires daily action. Along the way, we have where we want to go. But along the way, we need to make sure that we're measuring ourselves in some way. That's where target and objectives come in. So if we're taking a look and we want to be somewhere 36, 48, 60 months down the road, that's great. But next week, 2 weeks, 30 days from now, where do I need to make sure that I'm on that roadmap, I'm progressing, I'm getting to that point? Those are targets and objectives. You have to have those, because that's going to tell you if you're making headway or if you're not. And you need to, once again, when you kind of understand the mission of what the company's trying to do, and then intertwine that with the mission of what you're trying to do, that allows you to grow your business on purpose. And in mission-driven companies, the mission directly impacts the quality of the product. We're a mission-driven company, so you want to grow on purpose. When you're out there talking to partners, you need to be able to effectively communicate why it is that you're growing. And you're growing on purpose because of X, Y, and Z. You need to get obsessed about helping people. If somebody's coming in and their mind is dominated by money, that's okay. But if you find the financial crusaders that are really interested in the mission, helping people, and they get obsessed about that, A, makes a great partner, but B, the money will definitely follow. And you need to get excited about your business. Every day we wake up, we might not feel great, we might have some family, personal issues, health issues, whatever it might be, but you're introducing either yourself, your business opportunity, the product to the marketplace. You need to find some excitement. Excitement about your business can be different things, but just be excited about some part of the business, because it's your job to bring a little excitement to these conversations, presentations, because why? People fear money. They fear money. They can't get excited about it until they see an actual solution. So you got to provide that passion and excitement on the front end. And then also, we need to learn how to make data-driven decisions. And that's what we're building over here. We're building a business where everything will be data-driven. And that takes the emotion out of it. Because if you build a business and you're not making data-driven decisions, well, guess what? Those emotional decisions, they're not good for your business. Data-driven decisions will always lead you where you want to go based on the actual data, the numbers. So once again, don't get emotional about your business. Learn to make data-driven decisions. Take the emotion out of what you need to do. And you've got to do this for a period of time. Consistency, being able to do this over a period of time. This is not a 100-yard dash. This is more like the 5K. So this is a journey, a process. It can build a great foundation with some meaning, but it's not start and stop. You can't go at this really hard for 2 weeks, take 2 weeks off. Whatever you're going to bring to this, whether that's 10 hours a week or 60 hours a week, bring that consistently. And as you're putting the pieces together for the outside world, that marketplace, whether it's client or partners, understand that's the process. That's what you're trying to do. Do these pieces fit together? Does this person make a good partner? Does this person make a good potential client? Am I going to be able to create a success story out of this person? If so, continue. If not, filter. Because at the end of the day, you really need to understand what's happening in conversation. Are you being able to relay the information over in a way that makes sense to people? Because if not, and it's too wordy, or you're using financial jargon they don't understand, they will just shut down. Instead of asking questions, they'll just completely become paralyzed and just wait for the end of the conversation, drop off, you'll never hear from them again. So what's really happening? Are you able to continue and direct these conversations in a way that makes sense to the other side, that's giving them the reason to take the next action step? On the clients, are they in control? Because that's one of the first things that we need to figure out. Are you driving or are you riding shotgun? Because in a lot of situations, people think they're driving, but they're really riding shotgun. And we teach them how to take back control of the situation and start driving again. Ultimately, it's what they want. What I want and what you want are great. Those are individual goals, but we need to understand, what does the client want? Because if we don't understand what the client actually wants and why they would do this, the action step is meaningless because you haven't given them a reason to take that yet. Every time I'm in a partner conversation or a client conversation, I've got, just a sheet of paper out. I'm outlining what these people want. They want to move to the beach in 2 years, to be by the ocean. They want to, whatever it is on the partner side. They want to have, 3 branch offices built over the next, 24 months, whatever it is. I'm outlining that stuff because I go back to that. How are we going to get to what we want? What we want's been outlined. How we get there has been outlined. Now, the only thing that's left to decide is there going to be the commitment in between to get us from point A to point B? Whether that's a client conversation or a partner conversation, there has to be a commitment. Once you've laid out what they want, how to get there, are they willing to do what's necessary to bridge those 2 points? Because money makes money. And this is important to understand, because if somebody you're talking to on the client side, their finances are not to the point they've been able to progress, they're not overfunding retirement accounts and things like that, that means that their money is not making money. That means their money is actually making money for somebody else. So either money makes money for us or money makes money for other people. And in a lot of the situations we see, once that veil has been uncovered and they actually figure out what's going on, they start making decisions. And now we can start implement a plan where either immediately or eventually we get to the point where our money is working as hard for us as we worked for our money. And part of that process is to identify what's holding them back. Some of the times, it's just identifying that the deck's stacked against them the way that, the lender has put things in front of them. Are the deck stacked against them in terms of getting to X retirement amount because of this reason or that reason? So what do we want? What's holding them back? How do we get rid of and solve that problem to get ultimately where we want to go? That's a lot of what we're doing. A lot of what we're doing is kind of like therapy. We're just talking to people, making sure they understand that they have, decisions that can be made that can ultimately put them in a good place or a bad place, depending on, how they come out of these meetings. It's time for results. And at a certain point in your conversation, you've laid out a plan of action to get them where they want, whether it's a partner or a conversation. Now it's time for results. Are they willing to do what's necessary to get there? Because along the way, every day, like we talk about, it's not going to be good. You're going to have some obstacles, roadblocks to overcome, but ultimately it's up to the potential partner. It's up to the potential clients. Do they want these results? And then what's the next step? So we've laid it all out. And then finally, well, what do we do from here? If you get all the way down here and you don't lay out the next action steps, how can you expect someone to do something if you haven't even told them what you need them to do? So make sure if you've done the good job of funneling it down to the next step, you give them the next step, make sure they understand why it's necessary to take that. And then explaining the action step, you want to go into a little bit of information about, what do they have to gain? What do they have to lose? What if they do? What if they don't? Because, there's a fork in the road. There's a decision to be made all the time. And you have to help them understand, go this way, go that way. What do I have to gain? What do I have to lose? And what ultimately is going to happen? Money's a scoreboard, and it ranks how well you're doing against other people. So for example, if I'm talking to somebody and we're not really up on the scoreboard and we're not really making any offense in our financial plan, does not necessarily mean that's the way it's got to continue for the rest of their life. If you ever watch sporting events where baseball, basketball, football teams were down heavy, late in the game, halftime, whatever it might be, and they come back to win, financial plan's the exact same way. No matter where they are now, they're willing to, mount an offense and get behind a game plan. They can come back and they can win. If they don't choose to take an alternate route, then get ready, because everything has choices, everything has consequences. Taking responsibility for your finances, or you have to get used to taking orders for the rest of your life. You're either a master of your money or a slave to it. It's your choice. Everything has choice, everything has consequences. When you're looking at what's going on in our organization, our team, our business right now, it's getting ready to explode. So what we need is people to step up and start taking on roles, start learning for those roles, and start stepping into those roles, because really we have more business right now than we can handle. Which gives us, from a building standpoint, an opportunity and a roadmap for velocity. If we have a business model set up from A to Z that will provide you what you need to grow your business at a very fast rate, then the only part of that whole equation that you need to understand is that you're part of it. And whatever you're willing to do or not willing to do, that's gonna, increase or decrease the speed of this build out. The learning curve comes from your interactions, whether you're doing client appointments, partner interviews, whatever it might be, just networking on the front end. The more you start to learn to talk about the business, yourself, why you do this, easier it is to have those conversations, and the quicker you get past the learning curve. Because at the end of the day, once the learning curve is over, you're on to, execution, and then you're mastering the art of execution. And then you are presenting your presentation. So remember, if you're looking at a conversion funnel and you get down to the very last thing, which is your presentation, doesn't really matter on the conversion. If you're not able to get that last presentation part to a point where you've got some positive outcomes, doesn't matter what you're doing on the front side to create more interest, you got to nail this. And vice versa, if you're really good at your presentation, you can have maybe not as good as conversion rates on the top end of your funnel, but you can make it up here. This is the most important part. This is the outcome. This is where, the rubber hits the road in terms of they've been introduced, they've got interest, they're speaking with you. You need to nail this part. And the way that we have set it up with the 2 appointments, it's very, very easy transition. It's a very, very easy front-end conversation. And then finally, you need to mentor people. This is how I built my business. This is what I did. This is what worked. This is what does not work or did not work. And this is what I recommend that you doing, because you want to get to here in this time. This is what we need to do. You're a leadership factor. You're creating leaders. The reason that most people are unhappy is because they continually accept excuses time after time after time after time. So they're not getting where they want to go They're just spoon feeding their brain excuses. And guess what? Brain's okay with that. Keep giving me excuses. No, we're not good enough. We don't fit in here. Whatever that might be, the excuses why they're not reaching where they want to get to, that's just going to manifest on top of itself. The excuses get easier to feed yourself. They get easier to digest. And all of a sudden, you're just an excuse factory. This is yours if you want it. So remember, when you are looking at this business opportunity, it's important to digest it for yourself. But when you're talking about the business to other people, you need to come from a power position. You don't have your hands held out. Hey, do you want to work with me? You've got a structured sequence of events that needs to happen, including interview process, to make sure this is a good fit for both sides. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste the prospect's time. We're looking for a certain type of person. So when you're looking at your business, one of the things that's come up is, and when I talk about being solutions based, so if you've got your business, you're getting it off the ground organically, which is no money out of pocket, that's fine. It's possible. You're going to have to make up what you're not spending in money with sweat equity, making those calls, setting up that pipeline. But ultimately, you don't want to say, continue to dwell in the problem of I don't have money for marketing. You want to come up with a solution. Whatever that solution is on your side, that's where you want your mindset. That's where you want your thoughts to be. Not thinking I don't have, but thinking how to get. So I hope you guys got some great information out of this.